Take this job and shove it.
We are back. I am Mike Baumgartner, your work-life survival sage. You are listening to Jobcast Radio, your one-stop place to get all the advice and information that you need to survive the job. Again, if you've got a problem with getting your resume together, getting through an interview, if you've interviewed for the job and for some reason you didn't get the job and you think that it might be for some reason, maybe it's your age, your race, your gender, you might be a working mother, you might have kids. You know, I have seen that companies are getting very, very picky out there, and they're trying to pull some things that really, frankly, are against the law. And I have begun to see that some companies are beginning to say, oh, you got kids, that's fine. I'm going to hire somebody who doesn't have kids. In fact, I have seen some of that. If you think that's happened, you give me a call. My number 304-867-4142. Again, 304-867-4142. Or you can shoot me an email, mike@jobcastradio.com. Some more information in the news. On our first segment, we were talking about how the unemployment rate may be steady, but that jobless claims are going up. People are dropping out of the workforce, especially the baby boomers earlier. And 1 out of every 4 kids age 16 to 19 is out of work. And that number is rising, and why that is going on. A little bit of good news, and something that, I think is going to surprise a few people, is that statistically, there was an article again in the Wall Street Journal. This was dated April 12th by Carrie Lucas, that the male-female wage gap is predominantly disappearing. Now, don't write me an email and telling me I'm crazy on this, okay? I know that as soon as I start talking about this, I'm going to start getting emails from women who are screaming that they are making $2, $3 less than a guy who has the same job. Look, I get it. I understand it. However, number one, if that's happening to you, you need to give me a call, because that needs to be fixed immediately. And there are really easy ways to get a company's attention, especially if you're a woman and there's somebody, with the same skills, same tenure, sitting right next to you, making a couple bucks more an hour. That's easily fixed. And when I say easily, just a couple of phone calls and a government agency or two can really, really fix that problem very, very quickly. Want to know about that? Again, give me a call, mike@jobcastradio.com, or check some of my past episodes, jobcastradio.com. We can help you out with that. However, interesting numbers. A study of single, childless urban workers between the ages of 22 and 30 found that women earned actually 8% more than men. So bear with me here. Tuesday past was Equal Pay Day, so dubbed by the National Committee for Pay Equity, which represents feminist groups, including the National Organization of Women, Feminist Majority, the National Council of Women Organizations, and others. The day falls on April 12th because, according to feminist logic, women have to work that far into the calendar year before they earn what men already earned the year before. Now, in years past, according to this article, feminist leaders marked the occasion by rallying outside the U.S. Capitol to decry the pernicious wage gap and call for government action to address systemic discrimination against women. This year will be relatively quiet. Perhaps feminists feel awkward protesting a liberal-dominated government, or perhaps they know that the recent economic downturn has exposed that these claims are not as valid as they would believe. The unemployment rate is consistently higher among men than among women. This is true. The Bureau of Labor Statistics reports that 9.3% of men over the age of 16 are currently out of work. The figure for women is 8.3%. Unemployment fell for both sexes over the past year, but labor force participation, that is the percentage of working age people employed, also dropped. The participation rate fell more among men to 70.4% today from 71.4% in March 2010 than women, 58.3% from 58.8%. That means much of the improvement in unemployment numbers comes from discouraged workers, particularly male ones, giving up their job searches entirely. Again, reference segment 1, baby boomers who are just essentially calling it quits. Remember, that's a large population. Now, men have been hit harder by this recession because they tend to work in fields like construction, manufacturing, and trucking, which are disproportionately affected by bad economic conditions. Women are in more insulated occupations, such as teaching, healthcare, and various service industries. Yet, if you accept that the job choices of men and women lead to different unemployment rates, then you shouldn't be surprised by other differences, like the differences in average pay. So what this author is arguing is that women who tend to take more secure, economically stable jobs, such as teaching, nursing, medical care, and various service industries, are at a less risk job than men who are in construction, manufacturing, supply chain. Feminists tend to talk a lot about the wage gap. They rely on the assumption that the differences in average earnings stem from discrimination. Thus, the mantra that women make only 70% of what men make for equal work may be correct from the way they look at it, but even a cursory review of the data proves this assumption false. Now, I know that many of you right now are rushing to your computer to tell me how full of it I am. However, just bear with the article for a second. The Department of Labor's time use survey allows that full-time working women spend an average of 8.1 hours per day on the job compared to 8.75 hours for full-time working men. One would expect that someone who works 9% more would also earn more. This fact alone accounts for more than 1/3 of the wage gap. Why do men make more? On average, because they work more hours than women. The choice of occupation also plays an important point in the role. While some suggest that women are coerced into lower paying job sectors, most women know that something else is often at work. Women gravitate toward jobs with further risks. This is true. More comfortable conditions, regular hours, more personal fulfillment, and greater flexibility. Women work jobs that allow them a better work-life balance. This, go to the work, talk to women. Tell me this isn't true, or if you don't believe it, women, write me. I will be more than happy to talk to you about that. This is true. Women take jobs that are much less risk averse. The article continues. Recent studies have shown that the wage gap shrinks or even reverses when relevant factors are taken into account and comparisons are made between men and women in similar circumstances. In a 2010 study of single, childless urban workers between the ages of 22 and 30, the research firm Research Advisors found that women earned an average of 8% more than their male counterparts. Given that women are outpacing men in education attainment and that our economy is increasingly geared toward knowledge-based jobs, it makes sense that women's earnings are going up compared to men. In summary, and as I have talked about this in past shows, women go to college, stay in college, get jobs that require education. They make more in jobs that are knowledge-based, service-based jobs. So, while you may disagree with me, and although I have talked many times about the wage gap between women and men, and actually between older, younger, and race, look, it's there in many, many situations. It is, according to this article, and it does make sense, women are going to be, if they are not already, making more than men. Got a differing opinion? Feel free. Give me a call anytime, 24/7. 304-867-4142. I know it's a controversy, but it's something, the data's there. Look up the article. Talk to me about it. So women, you're making more money. Enjoy it. But then again, how are you suffering on your life? That becomes the question. I am Mike Baumgartner, your work-life survival sage. This is Jobcast Radio. Mike at jobcastradio.com. Give me a shout. We'll talk to you. We'll see you after the break. Bye-bye.
Take this job and shut it.